Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. Today, I'm going to be tackling scheduling and sexual discomfort, and we're going to be talking about how to navigate that conversation so you can have some sexual success as you grow, both of you as a couple. Now, when it comes to sex, and the reason why you would schedule sex is the fact that you already have evidence of the fact that you guys cannot have sex in terms of connection. And again, this only works when she actually knows that it's a problem and it's something that you're both wanting to fix, but you just don't really know how to then prioritize it. So when it comes to prioritization of sex, then how do you make that happen? Because I know some of you guys have had that conversation with your partner and say, you know what, sex is really important. I want us to have a better connection, and therefore let's us do something about it. And then you have an agreement, and then nothing really happens. And some of it is the reasons why. It's because of this Hollywood way of looking at films and stuff, where we romanticize the seduction side of things, that it's some sort of feeling that comes onto us, and then therefore we act on the feeling, whereas it's more about being intentional with your actions, and then the feeling comes afterwards. So which is quite contrary to what we watch and what we see and what most people read in terms of novels, because it's a little bit different when you approach it that way. And when you approach it that way, it changes the dynamic of how you interact around sex, because then it means that there's certain things that you can do without actually having a feeling, and then as you go along, you can actually create the feeling together. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And really, the reason why I'm making this episode is because I was speaking to a client and we're talking about this, and him and his partner, his wife, they have been sort of getting connection. There have been bids for connection, and those connections will continuously happen up until it's now, coming towards sex. So when it comes towards sex, there's this sort of withdrawal when that happens. And a lot of you guys will attest to this, that, the date night will be good, the entertainment will be good, the discussions will be good, things will be flowing, everything will seem like everything is going well. And then when you start pushing towards sex, it becomes a little bit, the mood changes, or at least it starts trying to move away from it. So we were talking about that sometimes in terms of connection, they might have a limit. And I know most of you guys will think, like, why is it that every time I try, it sort of falls apart? It falls apart because maybe she's capped in terms of a connection limit. And it's really just now trying to redefine that limit. Like, you can say, okay, this is where you stop, but really there's a little bit more that you can actually tap into in terms of connection. And again, it's not just the feeling side of things, but you can actually tap into the physical side of things, which will amplify the feeling side of things. So when I was talking about this, we were talking about it with my client, and I gave him an example around this. I went to the gym today and I was doing leg presses. For those that don't know, is this sort of seat that you lay on it, sort of, you lay on it on the chair, and then you've got these catches that you release, and then you've got this plate that you'll be stepping on that comes towards you, and then you get to push it up. So I started doing that without weights, and as I was doing that without weights, I was actually thinking, this is a little bit heavy, but I just continued to do that in order to warm up. And then as I put the plates on, and I ended up putting up 80 kilos, and as I put 80 kilos, I was pushing it, and I thought, this is quite heavy. I kept going, and then I went for as long as I can, and I thought to myself, wow, that was not so bad. And I was quite proud of myself, the fact that I'd done it. Now, you imagine, I've done this. I thought that I was heavy, did the rest of my workout, left the gym feeling good. And I was speaking to one of my guys at work, and he's into fitness. He's really jacked. He's ripped and everything. And I was saying to him, I was doing 80 kilos. I put all these other things on in terms of my leg press and so on, because I think you're just doing a little bit less. You need to do a bit more. And I thought to myself, quite heavy, and then he goes, well, this is my wife. She's doing, and she had 110 weights on it. And all of a sudden, and again, she's got a smaller frame, smaller thighs. So, and he goes, dude, you are way stronger than my wife. You can easily do 110 or even more than 110. And at that moment, it reset how much I can do on those in terms of the weight training. And that's the same thing that we're trying to achieve when we have this conversation with the wife, where we're trying to reset that it's not only just the feeling that we feel and then you get this bit of connection. Once you get this connection, this is where you stop. You can actually go beyond that, and this feeling that you're feeling right now, you can actually amplify it into something even more amazing after this. So it was very interesting to get that reframe around what I thought was heavy and what I thought was my limitations around that. And as you're having the next interactions that you're having around sex and how you can actually tackle this and really fix this, it becomes important that you actually schedule it. So, for example, if for us, the weekend is probably the most likely time that we're going to have. And one of the things is that for us, we know that it's only 2 to 4 hours that we have to connect, that is for ourselves. So that's outside of the logistics of the kids, me going to work, her going to work, and so on. So the only time that we actually have for connection within a week can be anywhere between 2 to 4 hours. So in terms of utilizing those 4 hours, we now have to utilize them with intention. So, I mean, at the moment, we're now at the place where we don't have to schedule because we've got a good thing going where it's something that we can do as frequently as we want to, and it's something that we're looking forward to continuously. But if you're not at that place where she hasn't stretched limitations in terms of connection, she still feels a level of sexual discomfort of committing to a specific time, it becomes so much easier to then say, okay, on Saturday morning, I would like us to have sex. Now, most guys would sort of pussyfoot around this and go, could we connect, and can we do something, and they try and make it, they make it so ambiguous that it gives that person a way out. And what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to say it without saying force it into a corner. But what I'm trying to say is that you make it explicit exactly what you want. There's 2 reasons why you want to do that. Is the fact that when you say on Saturday, I would like for us to connect and have sex, and by doing so, hopefully we can walk away from that feeling connected and rejuvenated. Whatever words that would fit the you guys having sex, and you say that's what I would like us to do. There's no obligation on your part to do so. I'm just saying that there's something that we can do because our life is already hectic. So setting an intention to it is better than us really waiting for that feeling to happen. And based off of the last 3 weeks that we've not had sex, based off of the last 6 months we have not had sex, us waiting for that feeling to happen, it's not going to happen. So, and again, if Saturday you can't do it based off of some feeling that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's okay. It's okay because it gives us an opportunity to talk about why that feeling exists. So either way, you actually really continue on to work on that sexual discomfort, because at this moment in time, you've allowed lower levels of connection, and those lower levels of connection have been sufficient, inverted commas, for now. But really, you're trying to say, okay, that's not sufficient. We're going to need more than just a sense of connection that is without the physical side of things. So we're now trying to include the physical side so that we can become more nourished. In fact, I was watching this video of this lady where she was vegan for many years, and she had acne. She was had bloated tummy every time she eats and so on. And then she decided to go carnivore, so she started eating more meat. And then all of a sudden, all these horrible things happen. Horrible things left her body because she was reacting a bit different. So some of those, complaints that she might have, or I feel depressed, I feel like life is shit, and all of these things, these are as a result of the fact that there's a physical side that is missing. She just doesn't know how to make that connection. So really, by allowing that to happen and come into your life, it actually gives you an opportunity to actually start changing some of that, especially the feelings around just overall well-being. That by having sexual interactions, especially one that is fulfilling for both of you, it becomes an easier way of tackling life together, especially in terms of devotion. Your devotion towards her increases as you have those sexual encounters. So really scheduling and talking about it allows you to deal with sexual discomfort if there is an objection around that. But also if she says yes, then again you say, obviously, you can frame it as, I'm sorry that we have to schedule it like this. It's not as romantic, but I want us from now on, because based off of the last 6 months, the last 2 years, the last 5 years, however long you've been in a sexless relationship, we've seen that us sort of waiting for things to happen never happens. So actually scheduling gives us an opportunity to set a target, and then we get to achieve it. Now, the good part about setting a target that is in the future, it gives you an opportunity to say, from now till we get to that point, can we open the door for us to actually start interacting in a way that makes us excited to get to that point. So again, it then opens the door for you guys to actually start having interactions that are, touchy-feely, little kisses and you're now building towards that, which again, the anticipation, excitement is then what's going to make it really good. And again, it just builds what I call familiarization, because you can actually start doing the things that are pleasurable before you actually get to the actual sex itself. So for example, if you're kissing, you're putting your hand behind her head, for example, it can be extremely dominant, but also it can be quite exciting sexually for her, and for her to put you grabbing her hand and putting your hand on your butt while you're kissing her. Again, it adds a little bit of spice to what you guys are doing. By doing so, it's you're beginning to build excitement towards it. So again, if you think about it as I don't know, when I was growing up, I used to play these car games, and you'd be riding, and then there was this like nitrous button. So you'd have this build up towards nitrous, and then as soon as you got enough build up, you press the button, and then you can go. It's similar to that. When you build those little interactions around you going towards that scheduled time, it becomes more exciting, and you would have to do several rounds of this. Like, imagine if to put a number to it, if you did this 100 times, by the time you get to at least 100, it's become ingrained into your relationship, to the point where you don't need to be scheduling anymore. It's just common knowledge that the weekend, as soon as we get the opportunity, we're going to be doing it. So, for example, for us is right now, my daughter she gets to go and meet her friends on the weekend, or she goes to a friend's house or whatever, and normally it just leaves us the house to ourselves. So generally, as soon as she goes, it's on, type of thing. And again, it's unspoken. You just know that it's on. So it's important, because before that, there was a scheduling of sorts, and there was a build-up and anticipation of sorts. So again, it took us time for us to find what works for us. And again, it's going to be something that is going to be very difficult, sometimes feel clunky, sometimes feel unnatural. And then all of you guys, when I say stuff like this, what tends to happen is that you then come back to me and say, oh, none of that worked. And I find it kind of fucking frustrating, and I'm being a bit mean right now. It's fucking frustrating because a lot of you guys, what you don't take into account is that some of these things, they will come unnatural and they won't be easy to do. But if you do it once and it doesn't work, that's not enough for you to say it doesn't work. It might take you several times before you actually get to the point where you think, okay, maybe this doesn't work. So as a rule of thumb, you have to try these at least 100 times before you decide, okay, this doesn't work. Because you have to take into account your voice tone, your approach, what's going on before that. For example, if your wife has an argument with a kid, you then trying to be seductive is like it's a no-brainer, but it has to be said. So you have to consider that you're going to have to try many attempts before you decide, okay, this is not working for me. So in terms of scheduling, you schedule it and then you start trying to build up towards it. So maybe the scheduling might go wrong. So you then have to deal with the sexual discomfort. You deal with that and then you reschedule and then you have to try and build anticipation towards it. And all of this will take some time for you to actually get nailed down. But if you do get it nailed down, all of a sudden your relationship changes to a different place. Again, the caveat to all of this is that she agrees that sex is a problem and it's something that you both want to fix. Because if she doesn't think it's a problem, it's something that you want to fix, scheduling is probably not the thing that you should be talking about. You should be talking about whether sex is important for the relationship, which is more important rather than actually going this. So this is more of like a step 3 within you changing a sexless relationship rather than the first step. If you are at the beginning of that, by all means, go to Instagram and ask me any question that you've got. Our Instagram is Thriving_Tribesmen, and you can ask me any question that I can take you to step number 1. At least we're talking about sexual discomfort and dealing with some of that. But for some of you guys that have already, the wife has already agreed that sex is a problem, we need to fix it, and you still find yourself not quite fixing it, this is one of the things that you can do where you can actually schedule and then work on how to build anticipation and excitement towards it as well, is agreed. Because again, by scheduling it, it gives you guys an opportunity to actually start dealing with some of those things that are negative towards sexual contact. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.